For this poster, we were given an NSTA science article and an NCTM math article about different groups of students and the variety of strategies that we, as teachers, can use to engage them and help them succeed. The groups of students are 1. Students with low socioeconomic status, 2. Students in racial or ethnic minorities, 3. Students with disabilities, 4. Students in alternate education programs, 5. English language learners, 6. Female students, and 7. Gifted and talented students. Students with low socioeconomic status need support because society often tells them that they cannot reach a higher status, so we need to help them believe otherwise. Students in social or ethnic minorities often struggle because they don't have a lot of role models in math or science fields and may feel like these courses are not relevant to their lives. Students with disabilities struggle because they have different struggles that require different accommodations. The purpose of these accommodations is to benefit these students and help them to succeed. However, it should be mentioned that many of these strategies can benefit all students and not just those with disabilities. Students in alternate education programs often have already failed multiple classes and so struggle in traditional classrooms. Because of this, they would benefit greatly from different kinds of learning. English language learners, as we have discussed in class, need support not only to engage with the content, but to understand it at all. Female students need support in math and science classrooms since they don't have a lot of role models in math. They also tend not to feel as engaged in these classes as if they have less reason to learn the subject. Additionally, a lot of math and science teachers have biases against them. GATE students, on the other hand, face different challenges than most of these other groups of students. They tend to get bored of the content and learning style in traditional classrooms and need greater challenges to apply themselves to in order to be engaged. The struggle as teachers is to incorporate in our teaching student strategies that help all 7 groups of students. What follows is a list of strategies and how they help each group of students. Both the math article and the science articles provided us with a variety of methods. Since the methods were not only useful for math or only for science, we've decided not to color them differently and simply include all of the strategies on the same poster. Instead, we've decided to group strategies into 2 groups: culturally relevant pedagogy and safe learning environment. Culturally relevant pedagogy, coded in green, is the use of strategies to make content relevant to students' culture and connect the content to their cultures. Safe learning environment, coded in purple, are strategies that not only make the environment physically safe and prepared for students to be in, but also emotionally safe, so that the environment is built around supporting all students, and students feel free and encouraged to be engaged and confident in their abilities.
There are some equity strategies that benefit specific groups. It should be noted that these strategies will, for the most part, benefit all students. However, the purpose of the column on the right side is to highlight the idea that these strategies will be most helpful for particular groups of students. The first strategy is language support. This strategy falls under both safe learning environment and culturally relevant pedagogy. We categorize this strategy in this way because applying language support strategies not only allows students to make connections between their culture and the content, it also promotes an equitable environment in the classroom. This strategy, as indicated by the dark blue arrows, most benefits low SES students, minority racial and ethnic groups, students with disabilities, and English language learners. For low SES students and minority racial and ethnic groups, their everyday discourse is likely very different from what is expected in the classroom and will reflect their home culture. Providing language support will help transition them from the discourse that they are accustomed to academic discourse. Students with disabilities and English language learners will need more time to acquire the academic language present in the classroom. Applying language support strategies such as sentence frames, sentence starters, group discussions, realia, and visuals will further help them acquire the necessary academic language. The second strategy involves improving confidence and engagement in the classroom and falls under safe learning environment. This strategy, as indicated by the red arrows, benefits all students but GATE students. We did not include GATE students in this strategy because these students are generally the higher achieving students. They are likely already successful in the classroom and require less support than other groups of students. The other groups of students require more support in this regard because they are likely struggling with the content. Therefore, strategies that help to increase confidence and engagement would most benefit low SES students, minority racial and ethnic groups, students with disabilities, alternate education students, English language learners, and female students. The third strategy is making connections to home language and culture. This strategy falls under culturally relevant pedagogy and, as indicated by the brown arrows, most benefits low SES students, minority racial and ethnic groups, alternate education students, English language learners, and female students. Making connections to home culture and language makes the content learned in class more relevant to the students. This is why we have categorized this under culturally relevant pedagogy. These students in particular will likely have the most difficulty understanding why the content they are learning is important or necessary. Therefore, to encourage these students to participate in class and engage with the material, it is important to actively make connections between the content and their home language and culture. The final strategy is to identify biases. We have categorized this strategy under safe learning environment. This is because in order for a classroom to be equitable and comfortable for all students, teachers should not have any internal biases against any of their students. Thus, it is important to determine the biases that you may have against specific groups of students and find ways to eliminate those biases. This will allow you to create lessons that are equitable and support the students who need the most assistance. This strategy most benefits, as indicated by the dark green arrows, low SES students, minority racial and ethnic groups, students with disabilities, alternate education students, English language learners, and female students.
We believe that the rest of the strategies would benefit all of the groups of students. First, I'm going to talk about the culturally relevant pedagogy strategies. It is important to value the experiences and background knowledge of all students so that they feel connected to the material and they feel like they have something to contribute to the classroom learning. Because of this, it is important to be aware of the funds of knowledge that each student has and use them as resources in the classroom. This is also why teachers should celebrate the diverse strengths of their students. Additionally, teachers should focus on students' individual needs. A great way to do this is to use project or problem-based learning. Using projects or problems that are related to students' cultures and background knowledge engages them in the learning and provides each student with an opportunity to bring something to the learning. We also have a couple of strategies that promote a safe learning environment that would also help all students. For an environment to be physically safe for students to be able to learn, not only does it need to be free from bullies and people who wish to harm the students, but it needs to have enough resources for each student. This includes resources as accommodations to students with special needs and those who need language support, as well as resources that help students with low socioeconomic status to be able to work inside and outside of class on their academics. Even so, it benefits all students when a classroom environment has sufficient resources for all of them, as students do not have to worry about providing these things for themselves. There's a variety of strategies that can promote in an emotionally safe learning environment. For example, differentiated instruction allows teachers to cater to students' diverse needs and strengths while still challenging them and holding high expectations of them. Challenging students and having high expectations of them not only engages them in the content, but it helps them to see that they can do more than what they previously thought and allows them to develop a growth mindset. Another strategy is cooperative grouping. Cooperative grouping benefits all students because it allows them to engage with the content with their peers, not just individually. It is a way to ensure that the lesson is presented in a student-centered way and allows the students to develop ideas with each other and improve on one another's ideas. Ideally, through these strategies, students will feel safe to develop and share their ideas and to make mistakes in front of the class.
The overall takeaway from this poster is that there are many different ways to create an equitable classroom. It is important to find ways to incorporate different methods of culturally relevant pedagogy and strategies to create a safe learning environment so that all students feel supported and cared for. Creating an equitable classroom ultimately benefits all students and allows all students to be successful.